And welcome back into Crosstalk here on 104.7 King FM and 1230 KSTC. I'm Ben Blecha on our Monday editions of Crosstalk here to kick off the new year. We have decided we're going to talk economic development and small business impact because we've heard so many different people say on the national scale that small business and local business is how economies truthfully survive. And we're joined by one of our favorite people to have on Crosstalk, and one of my favorite people because she has helped me quite a bit in the business world. That's Laurie Jones. She is from the SBDC branch here in Sterling. And Laurie, we thank you so much for being on the program today.
You're welcome. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's a new year.
I know it, and that's exciting for all of us.
It's exciting, and people, you make your New Year's resolution to lose weight or quit smoking or exercise daily. It's important for businesses in a new year to, quote unquote, make resolutions. Truthfully, as we've talked on the program before, your business plan is kind of that constant resolution.
That's right.
And we've talked about in past editions, and I'm sure we'll talk about in future editions, why it's so important to have that. But what we want to talk about here is this New Year's resolution. Whether you have a business currently, you want to start a business in the future, you've got to have some planning behind it, some resolutions, some goals. And a new year, what better time than to try and make a new you through your own business?
That's right, and I was going to say it doesn't matter whether, and this even applies to people that don't even have their own small businesses, but it's the time of year when corporations stand back and they say, hey, what are we going to do this next year in terms of revenues? Do we reach new markets? It's the time of year if you're a small business owner. It's most small businesses is starting out the new year anyway. They put a big push on going into the end of the last fiscal year, so they've worked hard. Maybe they've worked hard over the holidays.
Right.
And so it's a good time to stand back and self-assess. And, and sometimes maybe you were fortunate enough in whatever else you were doing and you thought over the holidays, hey, maybe it's time for me to start thinking about, do I want to do my own business?
Right. It's a process that may take years. It took me years to finally decide to do my own thing. And when you're starting it up, there's plenty of resources out there that you can use to get it going. I know one of the biggest fears of people getting into business is money.
Oh, absolutely.
How am I going to finance this dang thing?
And the worst part is I still have people that say, hey, where's that free grant money to start my business? Well, there is no free grant money to start your business.
Right.
But there is money available in different fashions.
Yes.
And, that leads us into how do you find the money, what money is out there. But let's even talk about for a minute how important money is to your business, if that's good with you.
It is very important because whether you're starting a business or a business that already exists, if you don't have the money, you can't do what you want to do.
That's right. And, I was looking up the other day some reasons for business failures. And we don't want to start the new year off with people getting panicked and getting fearful. But the real numbers are, and again, you're right on small businesses. I saw a number somewhere that when we look at business entities, 99% of our business entities in this country are small businesses. Doesn't mean from an employee standpoint, but it means from an entity standpoint or a firm standpoint. And when we look at those, one of the hardest things is how do businesses get started and survive? And it used to be, they used to claim that businesses went out of business in the first few years. That doesn't necessarily happen. What happens is businesses can change the structure of their business in the first year or 2 years, and that looks like they went out of business. What actually tends to happen is people have enough money to start a business, and they'll do quite well maybe in that first year or 2 years because when they're short funds, they take the money that they had either saved up or that initial rush, and then they have money carrying them through. What tends to happen is the 5-year mark for existing businesses is the critical one. When you get to 5 years, The SBA is saying that about 51% of businesses survive that 5-year mark. So for those of you that are listening and have been out there for 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, congratulations.
Absolutely.
And I know it's a struggle.
It is.
But again, the biggest thing is, do you have enough capital to keep going?
And as we talked with Laurie Jones from the Small Business Development Center here in Sterling about your New Year's resolution to improve your business or get into your own business, capital is a word you hear so much.
Right.
Going through the B2C program this past fall, I read it time and time again, you've got to have the capital, you got to have the capital. When I hear capital, I think money.
Right.
Capital is more than just money, though.
And capital can be time.
Uh-huh.
Capital can be other people putting in that time and providing a service or providing something to you without you directly paying monetary funds for it. So we can address a couple things. Let's talk about number one, just when you do start a business, people think, okay, what do I need to do to start a business? Do I need to open up the doors?
Right.
I need to pay rent to somebody if I'm going to rent a space to do that. Do I need to make a product? So they're going to make the product. Maybe they get the materials and pay for it on their own. And literally they throw the doors open and maybe they don't even advertise. And they think, oh, but if I sell this much in these 3 months, I'm fine.
Right.
Well, that doesn't usually happen that way.
No, it doesn't. And I remember sitting down with you after you took your position with the SBDC and talking about what I wanted to do because I was just starting the business.
Right.
And yeah, I was in that same boat. I can do this in this first little bit, and I didn't. And at that point, as a business owner, then you have to look at it and go, okay, where do I go from here?
That's right. And you know what? This is hard to say, but cash is still king or queen in my book. And what that means is not looking at this is the price of my service, and if I do this much at this price, I make this profit, but how much can I do this month selling my product? How many hours can I put in at whatever I'm going to charge? And at the end of the month, is that enough for me to pay the bills that I have coming due this month? And so again, the term is called cash flow. There's a lot of creative things you can do that are fine to do. And the first one is, what do you absolutely as a business owner have to pay? You have to pay payroll. Maybe you have to pay somebody to make your product. You need to pay your landlord. But when you start looking at all the other things, maybe you can work with your suppliers and you can work out, sometimes suppliers are willing to finance what they sell to you. Maybe you can delay and spread out the cash a little bit. You may have months you could pay more than other months. So you need to work with the people on the supply side. Again, if you're putting in the time, maybe you're not paying yourself as much as you would like to at certain points in time, but then you pay yourself more funds later on when you can't afford to do that. Again, what you need to look at is every single month, what comes in, what goes out. And I think the number one mistake people make is if they are billing somebody, they think the hours they put in that month, they're going to get paid that month. So you need to think about how you bill your clients and your customers.
Right.
And take that into control, take that into account.
Absolutely. As we look at coming in here, we talked with Laurie Jones from the SBDC here in Sterling, and the one thing you said to me, and you brought that up, I don't consider you a real business until you're paying yourself. That's very important in this new year, because so many business owners, you talk to them, how long has it been since you've been paid? Oh, 2 years. Really?
Yeah.
You can't ask yourself to do that, because ultimately you got into this business for a reason.
That's right.
Whatever your reasoning may be, that's another topic we want to address on this program. But you got into it for a reason. But in the end, if you're not happy, your business isn't going to succeed.
That's right. That's right. And, so now coming back to, okay, So now the question is whether you're a startup, excuse me, or you are an existing business person and you're a little short of cash. What do you do?
The question, when you feel like you're short on cash, what do you do? We all feel it, personally or as a business. So from a small business standpoint, you're short on cash. Where do we go?
Business. What's nice is you probably are working with a bank. I'm sure you've got a checking account, and maybe you do credit card processing through the banks. Go to your local banker. And with your local banker, a couple of different ways to look at it. One might be, do you have a line of credit with that bank? And a line of credit is different than a term loan.
Okay.
A line of credit means, for instance, that maybe they have given, they might be able to lend you $5,000 or $10,000, but instead of giving you a lump sum that's due payable at a certain time every month, you may have terms that say, hey, you can use this, but there's going to be some minimum amount of money that you have to pay us back.
Okay.
And so you pay it back when you can pay it back, depending on the terms. And it's like revolving credit.
Okay.
So what that means is, for those of you that run short on some funds, maybe you dip into this line of credit when you really need it, and you don't use it when you don't need it.
Okay.
That's one way. The other way, again, is now look at your billing policies. If you do bill people, maybe you're going to need to look at those that pay slowly. And again, there's ways that you can work with your customer base to speed up the payment process. The other side, and it's not done a lot these days, but if you do have what are called receivables, sometimes you can get money lent to you based on what is owed to you out there.
Okay.
Okay, so you look at all of those terms, and then again, you come back and you're creative. Now come to the marketing side. Hey, is it time for me to generate interest in my business, and what can I do to sell something? Even marking down prices in a retail store brings people in the door and brings the cash in.
And from that standpoint, I'll tell you a little story that happened with Big Time Small Town Media. Around Christmas time, a lot of our advertisers paid when we started the business. It was a good way to help finance. You and I discussed this. It was a good way to help finance the startup costs. We found some businesses that would pay all the money up front so that we had the money to do what we needed to do.
Right.
When we got to November and December, we no longer had the money to do what we wanted to do.
Right.
So we had to find a creative way to be able to bring in customers. So what we did is we looked at the cost of what it took to produce our product and said, I can afford to cut this much off. And we set our deal. By December 17th, purchase this and get this price.
Right.
And we saw nearly double the people come in and not come in being a relative term because we don't have a store, purchase our product, and therefore helped finance what we needed to do in
That's
December.
right.
It's something as simple as that drew the people in, and half of the people that came in didn't buy the products that we decreased the price for. They bought the products that they wanted at regular price.
That's right.
But they came in because they heard that the price was decreased on certain items.
And again, it's standing back and saying, because the great thing about being in business for yourself is you are in business for yourself. So you make those decisions. You make them with whoever works with you. And, we've talked before about the value of using digital media and advertising and things like Facebook, LinkedIn, using all these tools that are out there because, again, you can control a very short period of promotion, drive people to your store, to your business, to whatever service you have, and for that short time, you can effectively see, will this bring in more people? And I can tell you, I am aware of some businesses here in this area that using Facebook have done some pretty creative things in the last few weeks and brought more people in. Absolutely.
There's so many ways, and we did a bit on that, I believe, back in November, about different ways you can use that. And as we wrap up this Monday edition of Crosstalk, we're going to have you on again next week and in several upcoming weeks, because like I've said, Monday is our focus on small business. Laurie Jones from the SBDC, our guest. You have plenty of information at the Small Business Development Seminar or Center about seminars that are coming up, about the content we talked about today, the cash flow analysis.
And financing connections.
Yes.
And by the way, we talked about existing businesses quite a bit, but if you are new and you're thinking through the how do I do this, I'm happy to sit with people, and I do, to point out here are resources you can get to, again, not free grant money,
Right.
but there are ways that you can look at what do I need to get and who do I need to work with to find funding to help get my business started.
There are so many different things you can provide, and the most important service the SBDC provides is just counseling to help you make sure you're doing things right. How do people get a hold of you?
2 ways. One is to call me directly at area code 970-520-0798. And the other way is at our website. There's a lot of information, so I'll go through that. And we're on Facebook too.
Yes.
But go to neecoSBDC.org. And if you just want to remember the words, just look up Colorado Small Business Development Network, and you will get to us.
Obviously, a very important service, and FREE.
Yes, it is. FREE. There is no cost because our services are paid for through grants, and we are very gracious that we are supported by the community, the county commissioners, and we are supported through the cities and the towns that we work in as well.
Very important things to work with, and if in this new year you're wanting to improve your business, SBDC is the place to do it. Thank you, Laurie, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.